Hello everybody and welcome back once again to Let's Play Suzerain with our suave looking Mr. President Anton Rain here. Cigar, tuxedo, hair slicked back. He always looks the part. He never leaves his house unless he's looking precisely like this. But yes, we ended the last session after several meetings and a stroll through the park with our wife, talking about tax reform, particularly around tax reform for the large corporations and the smaller, medium kind of enterprises. And, well, the large companies got a tax cut while the smaller companies got burdened with more tax. And, well, we did think that perhaps that was a misstep in hindsight, but the die is cast and all that. It's happened now. We'll have to proceed onwards and see what the backlash is. So what is the backlash? Well, let's take a quick look at the news articles to start with. First of all, Wholesale Post basically reports that good old Remus Holstrom of the National Front Party argues that this approach to promoting tight immigration, of course, will protect Swedish jobs and shield our people from external market forces. You know, all that kind of jazz. Also prevent workplace displacement and wage suppression. Apparently. Could be. Could be a bit of spin, who knows. But hey, we are going for stricter immigration, of course. Tax increases for small, medium corporations. It was just quite a neutral report on it in the Wholesale Post. The economists, which is run by the larger corporations, really, are obviously very happy to report that this will be a big boost to ending the recession. Quite happy. Radical, of course, not quite so happy. They're saying that we perhaps have been bribed to lay in the same bed with the large corporations. The Radical will not rest, apparently, until we leave our chair. Well, we're quite comfortable in our chair right now, so we have no proposal to get out of it just yet. So, Radical, you're stuck with us for a bit longer. Even our donation to the Alfonso Foundation has been scrutinised by said Radical. Basically, yeah. This attempt to brush over systemic issues with charitable acts is perceived as nothing more than a classic case of millionaire play power. Power play, sorry. Whatever. I can't be even bothered to read your article properly, Radical. That's how much I care about you. Presidential generosity, reported in the Le Shaven Times. Personal donation has been received with a mixed response from the public. Supporters laud the move as an endorsement of the Foundation's efforts to tackle homelessness and income inequality. Critics, however, questioning our motivations. Could be politically motivated, they say. Torrent Hill School wins award, and we're going to visit that school very shortly, so there you go. Lockdown in Dare also was a new report. Basically, there's a lot of strife down there, especially after we've arrested Fethi Ijal, the spokesperson of the Workers' Party of Blue Deer. There's been, obviously, tensions which has spilled over and escalated into violent clashes, which has resulted in some deaths and some woundings. Police surrounding the main streets of Dare, a complete lockdown has been introduced this morning. So all in all, trouble and strife across the land, but hey, I'm sure everything will work out in the end. Looking at where we were with the what do you call them? Reports, briefings. Take a look at the latest briefings here. There was quite a few. Not that one. Not that one. We started here. So the Grooney Rural Development Plan is neared completion. This is the plan that Gus Manger is bringing to the table. We're quite interested in this. It's going to put us into even more negative budget here, more debt perhaps, but we trust in Gus, so we may well put some money into that. You've got to speculate to accumulate, I think the saying is. So that's that. We have the old embargo on Rumburg is now come into full effect. Rejections at customs. Trade has ceased. Trains lining up with several hundred tons of goods unable to cross on either side of the border. Tensions are rising because oil, coal and gas shipments bound to Rumburg were denied passage. The Rumburg ambassador called the action an act of escalation towards war. What, and you shutting down your embassy wasn't? Don't bite off more than you can chew. Queen Beatrice has also appeared on TV to call us not a threat just to peace in Eastern Macopa, but a threat to peace in the entire world. Condemned our new policies, expressed her worries about the direction that we're headed in. How about you run your country and we run ours, eh? Don't meddle in our affairs, we have no reason to meddle in yours, Queen Beatrice. Okay, thanks very much. And some political ATO news, which we're not bothered about. Right, okay, so that was the snippets of information following the last session. We start today's session with a school inspection. As part of the planned programme, we arrived in Leiren to visit a middle school. The prestigious Torren Hill School, that was situated close to the suburbs just outside of the city centre. The building was flanked by two hills, each beautifully dotted with shrubs and flowers. Lucian, Chiara and I got out of our cars and met at the entrance. Our presence had not gone unnoticed. Apart from our guards, there were at least 10 reporters following us around. Ah, that must be the principal. Right this way, sir. The principal was a man of short stature with a bushy moustache and a pair of glasses. He approached us quickly but was stopped by the security guards. They started patting him down and searching him. Of course, security first and all that. We waited for them to finish. One of the guards turned to me and nodded. Mr. President, such an honour to meet with you. Shake his hand and smile for the cameras. When we look this good, photo opportunities must be taken. We shook hands and I turned around to smile for the cameras. Reporters instantly snapped a few photos. Welcome to our humble school. Yes, it's good to be here. Excellent. You must be Mr. Gallard. It's a pleasure to meet you. And Miss Walder, so good of you to come all the way out here. Thank you. At the entrance, the school's motto was inscribed on the wall in giant letters. In Stretton sis aginikar av... You get the message. Education is the premise of progress in all societies, in all families. We walked through the gates. There were many students lined up in front of the stairs of the main building. As we entered, the students started singing the national anthem. The principal proudly looked at them. Marvellous, my dear students! After the anthem finished, all of the students immediately snapped to attention and turned to me. Looks more like a military institution than a school. Exactly. That's what we pride ourselves on. Discipline has the utmost importance in our school. Yes, some good discipline never hurt anyone. Chiara bristled. Up to a point, perhaps? Look at these kids. I can assure you that our students are very well educated. In fact, our school is one of the top 10 middle schools in the entirety of Swordland. I've just read the report. Now, we will watch the students take their daily student oath. A boy and a girl went up to the stage and grabbed their microphones. The students turned to them. I am a sword. My strength lies in my blood. I will respect our honourable elders. I will protect the young. My life belongs to Swordland now, and it will belong to it forever. I will always follow the guiding light of Colonel Saul and the great swords. Amod West Corps, Vectum Sista. Now, do we go clappy, clappy? I don't think we're a clappy kind of guy, but we'll just nod. Yes, very good. Very good, children, very good. Words to remember. What? No one even remembers it after they graduate. If you wish to follow me, we will take a look at one of our classrooms. Through the hallways, we made our way to classroom 7A. As soon as I entered, the whole classroom rose up and snapped to attention. At ease, we say with a little slight wry smile. The students sat down. The same boy and girl walked up to us. These are our top students and our top class. This here is my son. The boy came before me and saluted me like a military officer. Tell Mr. President what you want to be. Mr. President, I want to be a general, sir. I am ready to sacrifice myself for my country and you, sir. Good. You will make a fine soldier in the future, I am sure. At ease, General. Thank you, sir. The principal squeezed his son's shoulders, and the boy looked up and smiled to his father. He patted him on the back and sent him off to his seat. The cameras flashed. This is simply ridiculous. You are raising soldiers here, not students. Oh, I am so sorry. I will immediately perform disciplinary actions. How about you, young lady? What do you think about this? She is our top student in this school. Her excellent grades are to... I didn't ask you. She bent down and gently addressed the young student. What do you think about your school? Just between us girls. I'm sick of having to knit and sew while the boys learn science and chemistry. I'm smarter than all of them. Why do I have to take these stupid handcraft classes? Shh! Do you know who you're Shut up! Let her speak. Kiara's presence had emboldened the girl. She went on. My math and reading scores are the best in the school, but they won't let me take the classes I want just because I'm a girl. I want to be a scientist, not some soldier's wife. Yes. We need more people like you in this country, young lady. I applaud your determination. We need more than words. We need action. Concrete action. We need to protect girls like this. The cameras flashed once again. I looked around the classroom and saw a large portrait of Colonel Sol. I won't say anything about it. Well then, unfortunately we are almost out of time. We have other meetings to attend to today. Thank you for the warm welcome. Mr. President Lucian, please go ahead. I would like to speak with the girl alone. Very well. Chat away. Thank you for visiting our school, sir. Come on, class. 1, 2. All students in the classroom yelled, but the boy whom I met was the loudest. Amagnu Eskar! Vecturn sister. After another round of photos, we departed. Okay, yes. I mean, nothing wrong with running a well-oiled ship, is there? Kiara needs to take a chill pill. Anyway, what's going on in the Contanan Security Pact? Oh, I pressed the wrong button there. CSP advocates dissolution of... blah, blah, blah. Alexander, Prime Minister, nationalised mines... Oh, very boring. We're all about Swordland here. Matters closer to home. Right, increased police budget restores stability. It has helped forces tremendously in dealing with protests all over the country. Good to hear. Arrests are being made swiftly and quickly while protecting the population. We are expecting everything to return to normalcy very soon. We like the sound of that. So who is this? Oh, this is the famous Geralt of Ribbery, the old Witcher Easter egg here. Basically introducing a new wine to its esteemed collection. I'll let you read that at your leisure if you've not read it last time. And even Dandelion gets a mention too. Dandelion wines are cherished for. About good old Dandelion wines. Anyway. Oh! educational reform briefing following our school visit. That's going to go down well, isn't it? Considering they've got a lack of funds, but we'll see. We're not going to privatise it because we could prop up both the health and the education sectors with privatisation to gain the fundings that we have chopped away from them. But we're going kind of market economy. I am debating whether to go 50-50. A bit of a half and half. There was a reason why I wasn't going to do it, and I can't remember what it was, but I'm thinking maybe half and half might be a good kind of balance. Especially considering now we don't have to placate anybody to pass a constitutional reform. I think we might do 50-50. So the question will be, do we privatise health or do we privatise medicine? I think privatising medicine... No, health, that's the same thing, health and medicine. Education and health, sorry. I suppose... toss a coin, maybe? Depends which minister's most receptive to it. I think, from initial conversations, I think the health minister was probably more pro-privatisation than Chiara was, to be honest, so I think we might use that as our deciding factor. But anyway, the Household Post, President visits school in Leiren. Middle school Leiren received a special visit from President Rain and Minister of Education, Mrs. Wilder. Yes, one of the 5 most prestigious schools in East Swordland welcomed special visitors on Thursday morning. Yes, delighted to have an opportunity to represent the fantastic job that all the staff members have been doing. Assembly talking about prayer language. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Interesting what line we take this playthrough. Kisaro Kibana, leader of the NFP, has proposed the Swordish Prayer Language Act to Assembly. Basically, he wants to standardise the language of prayer to Swordish and Swordish alone. Yes, we don't want Bluedish language. We don't know what they're saying. They could be inciting all sorts of nonsense, couldn't they? Heated discussions have been had. But hey, Mansoonlek, you're outnumbered, so I don't think you've got a prayer, really. No pun intended. Right, so Swordland today. A new start in Geralt's Wine Sky. Dandelion label. The wine. A new wine. Rich viticultural legacy of Geralt of Ribbery. Wine enthusiasts and critics alike eagerly anticipate the debut of this new vintage. Floral tones and elegant synonymous with dandelion wines. Beyond the pleasure of the palate, this latest edition is expected to inject a fresh dynamism to Swordish wine industry. We like it. Fluctuating energy prices. Intense fluctuation. Peaks and troughs. Okay. At least it's not going in one negative direction, as in going up, up, up. A bit of fluctuation. It'll even itself out eventually, I'm sure. The Shaven Times, Communist Party leader arrested. Dennis Starler! The guy that we met on the steps of Gassom. He's now been detained himself. For their reluctance to give testimony for crimes linked to terrorist propaganda. Raided his home. Oh dear. Also accuses the CPS's politicians of using the Red Youth Organisation to create terror. Oh dear, Dennis Starler, that's bad news for you. Oh dear. Oh dear, what's going on in Deer? Right. Deer has been sealed off since last Friday. We saw this in a briefing, so the newspaper radical is clearly not got his finger on the pulse right now. Civilian casualties, concerns about food shortages. "15 civilians have died. Oh dear. Well, if you want to have your own little zone down there, that's how things have to happen. If you were brought into our whole country, the police could do something about this more efficiently. Anyway, Arcasian PMC is accused of sowing discord in Eastern Xena. What, so that you can then go in and be hired to rectify it? Yeah, role and accountability on the global stage. Yes. That was the first question I would ask. Are they doing it on purpose? Because they get paid to go in and help military, don't they? So if there's a problem, they get paid. It's all very shady, if you ask me. Right, just got to take a quick pause here, bear with me. Okay, briefing on the proposal of education reform. See what this is all about. So, of course, we are still in Leiren, staying at a modest guest house for state employees. Kiara set up a meeting with me and Lucian to go over her plans for education reform after our school visit. Lucian was seated across from me at the table, going through documents. Kiara entered the room. After the visit yesterday, I couldn't even sleep thinking about that little boy and girl. I have never been more sure of my intentions to reform our education system. Lucian took off his reading glasses and put it on the table. I should actually put them on the table, but hey. Lucian took off his... Okay, I thought I clicked continue. Do you know what? We don't really care what happens with the education system. So if it's going to keep Kiara quiet, reform away. Exactly. Those students have to repeat that name Solace propaganda every single day. They are being brainwashed at an age when their minds need to be free. On top of that, young girls are denied the same opportunity as boys. They're forced into the role of housewife before they even reach puberty. Nothing's changed since I went to school. Women like me, Lilius, Nia, even your wife, we had to study twice as hard to receive the same university education that you and Lucian took for granted. Is that the kind of country you want your daughter to grow up in? Mr. President, we need to bring change. We need to free the minds of these young people. They are our future. Okay, very well, very well. You plead a good case, Kiara. So, what do we need to do for an education reform, then? We need to keep politics out of the curriculum. Saul should only be viewed as a historical figure. Children shouldn't have to repeat his name every day. This is actively poisoning young bright minds. Instead of thinking for themselves, they're learning to take things at face value. We also need to ensure boys and girls receive the same instruction. Handcrafts like knitting and sewing should be taught to both sexes, or not at all. Swordland's youth must be technically skilled and capable for the next decade. That won't be possible with the amount of nationalistic indoctrination and narrow-minded thinking found in today's schools. Either we raise a generation ready for the challenges of the future, or not. What will it be? Lucian, I'll bring you into this conversation. What do you think? As much as I respect Colonel Saul, his time has passed. Now is our time. I do think this might be the first step of a larger plan. Okay? Lucian agrees? I agree. Reform the education system. You will not regret it. I will get to work immediately. It will be an uphill battle, considering that the education budget was lowered against my recommendations, but I will give it my best. Now that the decision was made, shall we move on? Very well. Kiara skimmed over her documents before continuing. The reduction of the education budget left our hands completely tied. We are in a budget crisis management situation. This has led us to think about allowing privatisation to at least keep vital education services unaffected. Okay. Advantages of privatisation? There aren't many, but it would give us sorely needed funds and increase competition among schools. It would go against our overall economic strategy of a planned economy. It would be a lie to say that a decrease in the budget didn't force us to consider this. We just need the funds, even though we don't like privatisation. So what's your decision? Okay, so there you go. There you go. I suppose our decision is made for us. She seems to be quite pro, well, not massively pro, but she can't see an alternative really, but she needs the funds. Privatisation will give her that funds. She would welcome it, given the fact that she's got a lower budget, and we're speaking with her before the health minister. So we'll privatise the school, but we won't privatise the health. Decision sorted. Initiate privatisation. We should draw more funds. We should allow for more competition and quality. We'll keep the health system state funded to align with our economic strategy. But for this one, we'll bend it a little bit. Will do. That should be it for now. I will get to work and report back later. This has been a very productive day. I will be returning to Hallsword. Yes, thank you for your time. We dispersed after spending nearly the entire day together. I took a moment simply to breathe the fresh evening air of Lyran. I felt calmer here somehow, but I would have to return to the chaos of Hallsword soon enough. Oh my gosh, the hell's happened here? Economy. Situations. Tourism industry heavily declining. Ooh, this is not good. We were very pro tourism. Oh my gosh, that's not a pleasant sight, I must admit. But policies. Education privatisation has been enacted. Educational reform has been enacted. Education gap, probably because of privatisation. Yeah. A growing educational gap between the wealthy and the less affluent members of society. Look, you can't have it all. But we are adopting modernised education techniques, so even that will help the more impoverished. Okay? We're doing our bloody best here with the funds that we have. And look at that! We've actually increased government budget by 1 point somehow here. I think that might be through the privatisation of the healthcare. Oh my gosh, that's great news. Fantastic news. Right, so we have some more briefings. Crackdown on teachers' strike. The teachers' union went on a large strike today at Republic Avenue in Leshaven to declare their opposition to the reduction in the education budget. Oh dear. Many displayed worry for their salaries and positions. Well, be careful, teachers, you'll be getting locked up soon. You shouldn't be striking, shouldn't be, protesting. This is illegal. Right, police crack down, leaving several wounded. Oh dear. The strike ended the same day. Hey, you can't argue that we're not swift. Yes, strikers had the right to make a point, but do so from behind closed doors, please. Yes. But she is indeed saddened by the developments. As am I, very saddened indeed. Labour Union rally violates curfew. The rally organised by the Labour Union of Swordland in Leshaven has violated the curfew law and was disrupted by local police. Katarina Horton was the leader of the protests. After a brief scuffle, she was released. Look, you don't want to get yourself locked up now, do you, with Dennis, the pair of you. Come on now, let's have some order here. Yeah, we've seen that one, I think. Right, so what's happening in Benfey? Oh, a doctor's strike now as well. Oh, striking against the health budget reduction. Oh dear. Why weren't they bloody apprehended very quickly? That's what I have to say. Oh, the Grooney investment is coming up right now. Read the report. This week, 2,660 state employees were sacked for alleged links to terrorist groups under the emergency decree. That's a lot of state employees. My God. Is our government going to function with that much people gone? Ministry of Education has started work on education reform. The details will be finalised over the coming months. Okay, that's cool. And another Contanan Security Pact update. Second satellite launched. Oh dear. Right, okay. Very good for you. Right, let's take a look at the papers here. Hallsword Post. Greater Hallsword free of protests. Look at that. Decisive intervention by government forces and the police has brought a conclusive end to the paralysing protests in the Greater Hallsword region. I mean, there's been a tragic trail of casualties, apparently. But hey, needs must. A protest leader from Conriat voiced the sentiments of many when he said, "We want peace for our brothers and sisters in Swordland. We don't want more repression." This heartfelt plea underscores a widening chasm between the authorities and the populace. Yes, well, hopefully now that things have died down, we don't have to be so heavy-handed. Terrorists being dealt with. Tens of thousands have been arrested after the declaration of emergency. 20,321 to be precise. That's a lot of people. We are really cracking down. Gasom stagnates. Ooh. We've put money into Gasom, don't forget. That's not good. Demonstrators arrested. Tens of thousands driven out from the city centres by riot police. Thousands detained. That's quite a balanced report from the Radical, to be fair. Another promise broken. Oh, yeah, privatisation. The oligarchies back with their fingers in the pies. Listen, I'm trying to run a government here, and governments require budgets, right? And privatisation is a route into increasing our budget. So shut your pie hole. I know what I'm doing. Protests down. Economy, not as positive as I would like right now, but better than it was. It's a work in progress. Let our changes kick in properly, and we'll see a green line before you know it. I'm confident of this. Trust in me, and you will be rewarded. Right, the Grooney Rural Development Investment. We're not going to go for something that's going to cost us too much, but we will invest into something. So we're going to go for... let's have a look at read these in more detail. Subsidies for farms, no. Encouraging more players, no. Invest into the mechanisation to improve productivity, or crop research to foster innovation. I think I went crop research last time, so I'm going to do something a bit different. So we'll try mechanising, which is probably not very good, to be fair, because it's mechanising. It's almost like the old self-checkout situation in supermarkets, doing people out of a job by mechanising it all, really. But it will improve productivity, and productivity is key right now. So do you know what? Let's go with mechanising the farms. It decreases our budget. Investment in Grooney. Here it is. We have invested into Grooney. I'm hoping that Manger is right, and that will stimulate some growth. So let's see what the Hawthorne Post says about this. In a bold move, the government has opted to invest in the mechanisation of existing farms as part of the Grooney Rural Development Investment Plan. Aims to boost productivity and could help secure our food supplies. While the transition may be challenging for traditional farming communities, it's a step towards modernising our agricultural practices. Modernisation is the key. That's what I say. Right, Halsode. Lucian offers to play chess. Oh, I remember this from before. Good old game of chess. Okay. Now, we played chess last time, and I'm kind of like... I'm not going to do everything different just for the sake of it, because we are role-playing after all. So, do we want to play... do we want to relax at home with the family, or do we want to actually play chess? I almost feel like we would be competitive. And if Lucian is offering a game of chess to us, I almost feel like if we were to turn it down, it's almost like, oh no, you know. Whereas we want to play chess, and we want to beat Lucian at chess. So we'll have to play chess. We'll have to play it. No question. An evening chess match. Evening descended on the capital as Lucian and I found ourselves alone in my office. I followed my chief strategist's eyes to the chessboard on the coffee table. The sight of it reminded me of simpler times, of late-night strategy sessions turning into chess matches. We used to escape the political chaos in a world of rooks and bishops. Our battles were both tense and friendly, a reflection of our long history together. Lucian had always proved a challenging opponent. His strategies, both on the chessboard and in politics, had the same unpredictable edge. A soft knock interrupted my reminiscing. Olivia came in with our usual coffee. She noticed the chessboard and smiled. Long nights of strategy planning and now a game of chess? You two never stop thinking, do you? Yes. We might have to order dinner if this game takes as long as the ones we used to play, actually. I'll keep the Maroon Palace chef on speed dial then. Have a good game, gentlemen. She turned and left the room. Lucian acknowledged her exit with a slight nod, his eyes still fixed on the board. I hope you remember that it's not always the king who holds the power. Sometimes a well-placed pawn can change the game. Yes, isn't that the truth? I've used pawns for some of my best plays. Probably thinking outside of chess as well as on the board. On the other hand, sir, even the most strategic pawn move won't help if you overlook the other pieces. As Lucian positioned the pieces on the chessboard, it stirred memories of our early days in the United Swordland Party. His dexterous manoeuvring reflected the unseen orchestration that helped Peter and me ascend through the ranks. As the final piece was set into position, the board transformed into a silent battlefield. Yes, shall we get this game underway, Lucian? Indeed, President Rain. A game of chess is exactly what we need. Which colour do you prefer? Black as usual, or white this time? Why change the habit of a lifetime? Black as it always has been, thank you. A strategist's choice. I'm not surprised. The board is yours to react to. With the sides chosen, Lucian sat back, his fingers laced together in contemplation. And thus the game began. Lucian moved his knight from G1 to F3, aiming for a reti opening. Interesting start, Lucian. Time for me to control the centre. In response to Lucian's attempt at the reti opening, I advanced my pawn from e7 to e5, aiming to strengthen the grip on the centre. A solid move, Mr. Rain. Maintaining control of the centre is often key. A few minutes passed and a few more actions were made on the board. Lucian's next move was calculated and swift. The bishop glided from f1 to g2, preparing for a potential kingside castle and fortifying the pawn structure. Yes. Opting for a solid defence, Lucian? Every castle needs its walls. Castle kingside. I decided to mirror Lucian's strategy, moving my king to safety. I moved my king 2 squares toward the rook and switched the rook to the other side, completing a kingside castle. With this, the stage was set. The opening manoeuvres had transformed into a mid-game battle of wits. Each pawn push, every subtle repositioning, had been showing to Lucian's strategic prowess and my resilience. The next move would prove crucial. Lucian's queen cut a path through the heart of the board, menacing my vulnerable kingside. The stakes were sky high. A bold pawn advance could release my rook's potential and threaten Lucian's knight. On the other hand, I could gamble with a rummish gambit, a risky play that could wrestle control of the centre away from him. I'll unleash the rook. With a bold stride, I advanced my pawn, ripping open the f-file. The next move took a knight from Lucian. A daring sacrifice, Lucian. A sacrifice indeed, but one that I'm willing to make. Lucian moved his rook from the corner, adding pressure on my exposed bishop. Lucian had made a bold move, pushing his pawn forward and forcing my bishop into a vulnerable position. While the urge to secure my threatened bishop was strong, an enticing opportunity also lay before me, a potential double attack on Lucian's king and rook. The Resian fork. I almost feel like, I can't remember which options I picked last time, but I almost feel like perhaps this is almost like him laying a trap for me, so I will fortify my bishop this time. I'm sure I might have gone for the Resian fork, you see. I shifted my rook, bringing it to the stand beside the embattled bishop. The strong defensive formation would deter any of Lucian's advances. Your defences are commendable, but you are giving me too much space. Lucian, undeterred by my fortress, slid his queen to a more advantageous square. Sometimes we must give to take. Exploit the back rank. I move my rook to the last rank, threatening Lucian's king with a potential back rank checkmate. Clever, President Rain. But did you consider all the consequences? The centre was congested, a show of Lucian's unyielding style. His formation was formidable, his pieces interlocked in a matrix of support, each protecting the other while simultaneously projecting threats across the board. It was my move, and the game had entered its final stages. Lucian's queen was uncomfortably close, radiating danger. I had only a few paths before me. The game was slipping from my grasp. I had two options: a risky knight sacrifice that could lead to a swift end, or to hunker down and hope for a draw. I think that's knight sacrifice, defensive shell. Do you know what? See, a risky knight sacrifice that could lead to a swift end, but whose swift end? That almost seems like desperate, so I think if that's the best we can hope for, let's go for it this time. I move my pieces into a defensive formation, aiming to stave off Lucian's imminent attack. Oh, maybe we were too defensive this time. You're on the defensive. The endgame is mine to command. If Lucian made a mistake now, I could potentially salvage a draw. However, if he played his cards right, defeat was the only outcome I could see. It's time to break through. Lucian decided to press his advantage, launching an aggressive attack on my defensive shell. His attack was ruthless. I couldn't withstand it. My king was cornered, and with a final decisive move, Lucian declared checkmate. The game was over, and I had lost. I'm intrigued to know whether it's possible to beat him, because in all 3 playthroughs I've lost. So I'm kind of thinking, is it possible? Yes. My king is cornered, Lucian. Well done. Your game was strong, Mr. President, but in the end I prevailed. Time well spent. We learn less from victories, though. Lucian and I slowly began to dismantle the chessboard, each piece carefully placed back into its protective casing. Lucian was in high spirits, his eyes gleaming with a rare look of contentment. The high stakes and the strategical intricacies of this game remind me of the trials I endured early in my career, although the situation there was rarely as black and white. Yes. Strategical intricacies, eh? Sounds like you've got some interesting stories about that career. Care to share one? In a way, chess prepared me for some of the challenges I faced. I was involved in some complex situations where every move could drastically alter the landscape. Every move altering the landscape? Your early career must have been quite eventful. Indeed, Mr. President. My past isn't without its share of shadows. There was a time when I served in a capacity that wasn't so straightforward. I danced on a knife edge, every step carrying deep consequences. Lucian's gaze dropped to his empty glass as he fell into a moment of quiet introspection. Yes. Tell me more about this different capacity you served in. I can tell you that there were instances where I found myself in the midst of, well, let's call it intelligence work. It was a complex dance, rife with deception and shadows. Yes. A spy. Sounds fascinating. Spy is a simplistic term, Mr. President. My past roles were, let's say, less than conventional. I served for the national interests of King Egmont. Much as I'd love to elaborate, I must now take my leave. Thank you for the delightful match. Yes. Delightful for you, perhaps. I demand a rematch. I hope to play again soon, though I cannot promise the outcome will be any different for you. He smiled. Good night, Mr. President. As Lucian departed, I thought about what he'd told me. I'd learned a thing or two, but the man was more of a mystery than ever. And so we continue. Balance of power in Eastern Mercopa. Okay, we've got 2 newspaper articles. radical, archaic state of Swordland's conscription laws. What is this? 1880s? 1920s? Yes, mandatory military service is still a thing. We might not have to go down this route anymore. We've got the investment into the military, so perhaps we could maybe make our army more professional rather than relying on conscription. One to think about anyway. Geopolitico, apparently we're soon to be meeting with Smolak and Van Horten. Yes. David and what's he called? Peter, all sort of arranging for our diplomatic visits to these people, important people, to see whether or not we're going to ally with them or not. Again, interesting what we're going to do on that front. So we shall certainly see. But the next port of call, Religious Harmony Bill. What's that about? We might as well just click through that before we finish today's session. The Ministry of Health want to allow privatisation too. However, you're not going to get it because, well, we can't privatise too many things. In an endeavour to promote religious harmony and unity, the Grand National Assembly introduces the Religious Harmony Bill, establishing regulations for religious affairs across Swordland. Section 1 mandates that all sermons conducted during the Day of Dissension ceremony be held in the Swordish language. Section 2, language of sermons. No Bluedish. Section 3, regulations for priests. Must have Swordish lineage to be eligible for their salaries and pensions. Yeah. Hey, look, it passed the Assembly. Who am I to deny it? Right. Okay, there you go. Let's just quickly check. Restriction on religious practice. Look, those BFF priests were converting people, were causing mayhem. The Assembly have passed it. We have just signed it. We don't have to veto everything, you know. No, we don't. So what's next on the agenda? A call from Gus Manger. Interesting. Is it a call to say that we have got some money from an investment? Is it something about the Grooney development or something else? You're going to have to find out next time. But before we do go, let's take a quick look at what the papers have made of our recent bill that we've signed. Okay. The new bill aims to create religious harmony by restricting language. Banned unless special permission is received. They've voiced their discontent in the Assembly. You're outnumbered, I'm afraid. The radical are going to love it, aren't they? Rain attacks the holy day of dissension. Outrageous religious harmony bill. Out of all the points in the bill, one stands out the most. The day of dissension has a special importance for Bluedish people. It has been customarily held in Bluedish for hundreds of years. Mr. Suzerain's latest law will destroy and limit this tradition. It's not hard to see the potential consequences, is it not? Well, we'll see what the consequences are, won't we? If they dare raise up, you know the law. No protests. Infrastructure at full capacity in Benfey. The bustling city of Benfey is facing infrastructural challenges as its airport and port are at full capacity due to high volumes of logistics and tourist travel. Yeah, some more infrastructure required. Right, there you go, folks. I don't know how long this video is going to be because I've had a couple of breaks because of phone calls, but it'll be just probably about 50 minutes or so. So, yeah, next session, call with Gus Manger. As we continue on to run the country in our vision. Swordland first. Swordish people first as well, by the looks of it. And if you don't like that, we'll lock you up. Oh, I'm so intrigued as to how this playthrough is gonna end, because it is completely different to the previous two that I played. So, you know, is it possible to be this way inclined and still succeed? I mean, I will be intrigued to find out. So join me in the next session as Mr. Rain continues, as some might say, his reign of terror. Until then, see you soon.